It was 1992. I was in Camden Town in London. I was waiting for the pubs to open. It was a bit early, so I went to the Record and Tape Exchange. This was a shop where you could buy, sell and exchange records, CDs, music-related stuff. It was just a few shops up the road from Camden Town Station. They had thousands of records arranged into different genres and a pricing structure that meant if an album didn't sell after a month, they reduced it by 50p. This would continue each month until the price was just 50p. So if you saw an album priced at 50p, you knew it had been there for at least a few months. I was looking through the heavy metal section and I found this album, Into the Depths of Sorrow, by a band called Solitude Aeturnus. I'd never heard of them, but there was something about the album that appealed to me. I liked the cover and the name sounded interesting, and for 50p I thought, well, you can't go wrong, so I bought it. When I got it home I put the album on. The first track lasted just over a minute. It was just some pointless instrumental of a sort of monk chant. I thought I'd wasted my 50p. Then the second track started. This is called Opaque Divinity. Very different. This was heavy metal. A slowish beginning, but definitely heavy. I continued listening, turned the volume up. This was very good. Very, very good. On to track 3, Transcending Sentinels. This took a while to get going, but it built into a great track. Track 4, Dream of Immortality. I put the volume on full blast. My neighbours deserved to hear this whether they wanted to or not. Track 5, Destiny Falls to Ruin. This was my first introduction to real doom. I'd never heard of it at the time, but I liked it. White Ship continued the doom theme. Some great guitar work on the next track, Mirror of Sorrow, before the final track, Where Angels Dare to Tread. They definitely saved the best until last. This is my favourite track on the album. I played it about 10 times that night, and again when I woke up in the morning. I was to play this every day for the next few months. I went back to the shop the next day to see if they had any more albums by this band. In those days there was no internet and not many ways to find new music or unknown bands. Looking in second-hand record shops was one way, and luckily there were a lot of them in London, although most of them were in central London, West End. Another way was to ask around. I tried this, but nobody I knew had ever heard of them. So I tried the last resort, music newspapers. Melody Maker, New Musical Express and Sounds were the big three. But no, I had no luck. I didn't even know if they'd made any other albums. I sort of knew the staff in the Record and Tape Exchange, so I asked them to keep an eye out for me. Told them to phone me if anything came in. They said they would, but I never heard from them. Years went by and I've more or less given up. I still looked in second-hand record shops when I was in the area. I sometimes tried the well-known shops like HMV, Our Price, and there was a big Tower Records at Piccadilly. And of course, I tried Ugly Child in Walthamstow, a very famous shop in the day. It was run by an old hippie. He was always stoned. He probably forgot about me as soon as I left the shop. It wasn't until the internet started getting popular in the late 90s that I found you could search for anything online. A neighbour who was into techie stuff, he was the first person I ever knew to have a mobile phone. He came to see me one day asking the name of the band I'd been searching for. I said Solitude Aeturnus, and he said he'd found them. So I went straight round to his flat. He found 3 albums by them: Beyond the Crimson Horizon, Through the Darkest Hour, and Downfall. I had no idea how to use a computer. It never occurred to me that you could buy stuff on the internet. But I made a note of all the information he gave me. I went to the HMV record shop in Lewisham and asked if they had any of them. A very helpful girl said, no, they haven't got any of them, but she said she can order them for me if I want. So I said, yeah, okay. So I placed the order, waited by the phone for her to call. It seemed to take forever, but I suppose it was a week, maybe 2 weeks. I started learning how to find stuff on the internet. This was still the days of dial-up. Yahoo was the Google of the day. It would be at least another year before I got a computer, but I suppose you could say that Solitude Aeturnus had the reason I took an interest. Without them, I doubt if I would have even bothered getting a computer or learning the internet or anything like that. So anyway, I got the call, listened to the albums. I listened in the order they were made, Beyond the Crimson Horizon being the first. The opening track on Beyond the Crimson Horizon is Seeds of the Desolate. Fires on from the theme of Slow Start, building up to some real heavy metal that we saw on Into the Depths of Sorrow. It's now becoming obvious that Robert Lowe's voice is a vital part of this band. I can't think of any other singer who would be so well suited. The next track is called Black Castle, another doom metal track that gets heavier as it goes on. The Final Sin is up next, another slow start that takes 90 seconds to get going. I think this is a bit too long, but it's something this band seem to like to do. And we see it again on the following track, It Came Upon One Night. The Hourglass is up next, and the album is beginning to sound a bit samey. Still great music, good heavy metal, but not as good as the first album. Then we get to Beneath the Fading Sun. This is my favourite track on the album. The familiar theme of a slow build-up suddenly springs to life with Rob's voice doing that high note thing that we're starting to see more often. He does it very well. Plague of Procreation blends in well as the next song. And we end the album with Beyond, the slowest track on the album, and a bit of a disappointment really. It just sort of fades out without ever getting anywhere, instead of giving us a grand finale of some sort. I was eager to play the next two albums, but I decided to play this one again. I played it a few times. Each time I heard something I'd missed before. Overall, it's another great album for a band who should be a lot better known. I don't rate it as highly as Into the Depths of Sorrow, but it's still an album that's destined to be played regularly. So, we'll move on to the next album. This was in 1994 this was released. It's called Through the Darkest Hour. The first track, Falling, gets straight into it, no slow build up. I like this, the volume goes up full blast. Track 2, Haunting the Obscure, takes a while to get going. The doom theme's still very evident on this one. I like the way they play this heavy music and mix it with doom. It sort of complements it rather than slowing it down. This band know their style and they do it very well. The next two tracks, The Eighth Day and The Ninth Day. I'm sure they're trying to tell a story here, but I'm not really sure what it is. I've played it about 50 times and I still don't really get it, but it's still good music. The next track, called Pain, is another slow starter. Builds up, slows down, builds up. It took a few plays for me to get into this. There's too much of a, fast, slow theme to this. Pawns of Anger follows up. This is my favourite track on the album. There's some great guitar work going on here. Eternal Dreams Part 2 comes next. Strange title as there's no Part 1. But it's another great track, followed by Perfect Insanity, another example of how well Rob Lowe's voice is so important. We finish with the longest track on the album at about 8.5 minutes. Another slow start, by now this is getting a bit unnecessary. It's beginning to bore me a bit like this. I'd prefer to just get straight to the point and play the heavy stuff. This is probably the slowest song on the album, and to be honest, it's the first song of theirs that I don't really like. But overall, it's another great album, and I've played it regularly, still play it now. Moving on to the next album, Downfall. This is from 1996, again a slow start. The first minute is just another meaningless instrumental. Then we hear Rob's voice, which by now is as recognisable as Lemmy or Ozzy. It's a good but not great opening track, followed by Only This and Nothing More. This is more like it. Better than the opener, but the third track, Midnight Dreamers, this is the standout track on the album. It's the story of a man who's, I think he's bitten a werewolf or been bitten by a werewolf, and a gypsy warns him that he's going to become a werewolf himself. I did a bit of research into this, and it's based on a 1941 horror film called The Wolfman. This song is brilliant. It's right up there with the best I've heard from them. Move on to the next tracks, Together and With Her, Elysium, Death Wish, all good stuff. But I'm still hearing Midnight Dreams in my head. These Are the Nameless leads us into Chapel of Burning, a song about mourning the dead. It's never made clear if Rob is singing about a real person. It contains a lyric saying, "Sing with golden tongue for my brother's eternal rest. He was me, and I was he, in these halls of sorrow." Again, great guitar work on this. It's easily my second favourite track on the album. It ends with Concern, another good but not outstanding song. And we've reached the end of the 3 albums, 4 if you include Into the Depths of Sorrow. I'd say Downfall is my favourite of the 3, but this song, Midnight Dreams, is just one of the greatest songs ever written. I'll play this song almost every day. Great stuff, just absolutely great. They've only released 6 albums, although there is more to talk about. I'll come to that story with a review of the final 2 and then backtrack to talk about the extras. By now, I was learning how to use the internet to find things I would never have found without it. I think it was about 1997 or 98. Dial-up was still what most people used. We had to wait until 6 p.m. to get online because it was cheaper after 6. So every night at 6 p.m. there was this weird sound of the phone line trying to connect. It sounded like aliens or something like that trying to contact us from some weird planet. The whole country was trying to connect at 6 p.m, so it was just pot luck if the connection was successful or not. Anyway, in 1998 they released the next album, Adagio. The first track was another pointless 48 seconds, mostly instrumental, called My End's Time. Days of Prayer was up next. Now we're getting into it again, very much continuing the Doom theme, which I've become used to. Believe, Never, Idis, Personal God, Mental Pictures, Insanity's Circle all followed the Doom theme. Then The Fool is a short song with lyrics about rather spoken rather than sung. I never got into that song. It slowed the album down, and I don't really know why they included it. The next song, Lament, very slow and dreary, slight improvement on the next song, Empty Faith, and then the longest song on the album, Spiral Descent, highlights Rob's voice again. The album ends with a cover of Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell, best song on the album by far. I don't know if Rob was trying to compete with Ronnie James Dio, but it's a great version of a rock classic. It was a poor album, but this was the outstanding track. We had to wait another 8 years until the next album. This was called Alone. It starts with Scent of Death at 9 minutes and 43 seconds. This is the longest track on the album. Still sticking with this Doom theme, it's a good track that never gets boring, keeps the listener wanting more. Waiting for the Light has a similar effect. Then Blessed Be the Dead gives us Doom at its best. This is a great guitar solo on Sightless. I played this again as soon as it ended before moving on to Upon Within. Again another doomy song, nearly 8 minutes long, and again with some outstanding guitar work. The next song, Burning, starts with a great example of how bass and lead guitar can work together. It's a song that brings out the best of Rob's voice, blended with instruments. I like this song a lot. Picking a favourite from the album is not easy, but this one will probably get my vote. The next song is called Is There. It's another 8 minute song. Good heavy metal, showing Rob's range of his vocal talents. Tomorrow's Dead is good, but nothing special, and the album ends with Essence of Black, another slow starter that never really gets anywhere. It's good, but not great. So, we come to the final section. 1988, the band then known only as Solitude released Injustice for All, a 5-song demo EP recorded in Garland, Texas. It was poor quality, lo-fi production, only available on cassette. I can only assume this was for financial reasons, because by 1988 cassettes were all but dead. They were horrible things. The tape used to keep coming out of them. You had to rewind it with a pencil, but that was life. It predates Metallica's album of a similar name by about 7 months, so there's no suggestion that they copied it. The demo captures the early Doom days, The tracks are It Came Upon One Night, Transcending Sentinels, Into Battle, Sojourner, and Where Angels Dare to Tread. The demo featured John Perez on guitar, Chris Gapehart was on vocals, Tom Martinez on guitar, Chris Harding on bass, and Brad Kane on drums. The line-up soon changed when Robert Lowe joined, and John Wolfe Covington joined on drums in late 1988. This album was reissued in 1999 on vinyl and CD, which was much better quality. In 1996, they released a single on vinyl, well, half a single. They had the track Falling on one side, and the other side was a band called Iron Rainbow with a track called Magic Lord of Darkness. In 1998, they released a 2-CD digipack combining Through the Darkest Hour and Downfall. The reason for this is not made clear. I think it was like a collector's edition or something like that for people who wanted to own everything by the band. It also had something to do with a change of record labels after they left BMG. 2007, they released a DVD called Hour of Despair. This was recorded at Stodola Club in Warsaw, Poland, and it's so far the only DVD they've released. It featured 12 tracks plus some bonus videos. Then in 2011, they released In Times of Solitude, featuring the original singer Chris Gapehart. Robert Lowe does not appear on this. It's 9 tracks featuring early demos and rehearsals. It's a poor quality rehash of songs from older albums. 2022, they released another 2-album digipack, this time Into the Depths of Sorrow and Beyond the Crimson Horizon. For anyone new to their music, I would advise buying this one. This is a real good introduction to the band. So, with the help of the internet, that is all the information I've found on them. Apparently they split up in 2011 and reformed in 2023. I have found some live video of them on YouTube from recent years. They all seem to be playing in America. Hopefully they'll release new music soon, maybe even do a world tour, because I'd love to see them live. Robert Lowe and John Perez are the only members who've appeared on all the official recordings, the 6 albums I talked about. I've heard Robert worked as tour manager for Electric Wizard for a while, and he was lead singer of Candlemass for a few years. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It took me ages to make and edit. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel. I'll make more videos on music, bands, and I also do a bit of football as well. So if you're interested, if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.